Y'all brothers come down. Um, all right, I'll do this. It's all good. All right, shalom, shalom. All right, that's good. Shalom. We're the brothers in the Charleston camp, back in another week, prophesying the downfall of this wicked kingdom, which is America, Babylon the Great, in the scriptures. Without further ado, we're going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the brothers pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, and shalom to the brothers and the sisters listening and learning, the hopeful elect. And this one's through the spirit. Um, we're seeing a lot of things happen in prophecy, like America, the whore is being hated, was getting to that, to the point where the whore by its allies, the people that it once called allies, because really what's happening is um, for for America's um, for America's perspective, its allies aren't useful anymore, right? The allies aren't putting putting up enough fight against these other foreign powers that's taking over the world's economy, right? They're not putting up enough of a fight against China, against Russia, right? And Africa's being developed. The whole continent of Africa is being developed in different places, and they're competing as well. So what's going on is America is seeing that their allies are unfruitful, right? Because all these years, the allies of America has lived, uh, they've lived rich, deliciously, lavishly, off of America's, military. America being I think they're the biggest. Uh, when you talk about military spending, they spend the most money out of any country in the world when it comes to military spending, and they don't do it. They don't do it to defend their borders, right? Because America's borders is Mexico and Canada. They do it to defend their allies' borders. Well, um, that's what Americans think, right? Really, what the military is there for is to defend their interests, right, in these other countries, right? And that's resources, land, you know. That's what America's doing with its military. But all the other nations it's allied with is not doing the same thing. They're not putting up a lot of military spending or spending on defense as America is. So that's what's going on. That's what was going on the surface. That's the surface level of what's going on. Why the other nations, right, America's allies are beginning to hate the whore because America is trying to expand and become um, the head of the Roman Empire. When in actuality, right, all of the other heads, right, was eating deliciously off of her, you know. So they're fighting back against them trying to become, the main head, you know, and that's prophecy. That's biblical prophecy. And the other side of things, which is more in depth, is this is all designed by the elites. You think the French elites don't understand what's going on, or disagree with what America's doing? No, they don't. You think the German elites disagree? No, because they're all the elites of these different countries, these different Edomite countries. Guess what? They come from one family, man. That's the Amalekites, right? The small hatters, right? The tiny hats, tiny tops, you know. So they run these governments, and they're running them. They're running them into chaos right now, and that's the phase we're in. We're in the phase chaos, you know. Uh, so they can bring that order again, because the order that we're in right now, how would I say it? It's outlived its purpose. It's old, washed up.
Right.
You know, so now they have to what? They have to revolutionize it, right? What's it called? We're in the They got the industrial revolution. We're in the new revolution, and that revolution is the MOTB. They're ushering that MOTB in, man. The age of technology. That's what we're in right now, with the Swift banking system being so ancient. Slovakia. They have to make way for a new system to run the currency, because the currency is the power, man. All right, so first scripture I want to bring out, well, really, it's through the Spirit, man. I had nothing prepared, because I want to let the Spirit work. But Joel 3, that's what I was thinking of. Let me double check. 3 and 9.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
That's right. So right now, a lot of nations are rising up, right? Including nations that are supposed to be allied to America, Babylon the Great, right? Right now, NATO is being threatened when it comes to this Denmark situation. I mean, not Denmark. When it comes to Iceland, not Iceland, Greenland, right? When it comes to this Greenland situation, NATO is being threatened. You got terrorists being put on allies, and they can dump, like me and the brother, we was just talking before camp, they can dump their bonds, their treasury bonds that they have of America's debt, and that would continue to devalue the currency. Brother, you want to speak on that?
Treasury bonds?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other nations together hold about 25% of America's debt. So they bought about 25% of that debt. So they rely on the nations really to purchase that debt. So it affects the bonds that are here. So that's why the bonds are a surety thing, because that's that treasury is one of the most I don't want to say it, one of the most sure things to trade, to invest in, out of all things right there. So it's really a note, or it's really a promise that America was going to back it.
That's right. That's right. It's a promissory note, because America, being the business that it is, generates a lot of wealth.
Right. And that sloppy, but yeah. And so should they dump that right there, they'd have to make that up. So they start printing money, and we all know printing money is going to lead to that hyperinflation.
That's right. So
which is
all of it's going to come back
yeah.
to the citizens. You want to say something more?
No, that's it. That's
Yeah.
prophecy, right?
Huh.
That's part of the prophecy.
Huh.
That's
That's
to be so high and food and other things like that, right?
right. Victuals.
Rituals, right?
So there's a lot of scriptures you can go into, you know, when it comes to that, right? Because this is the reason why there's going to be sedition among men, because men are not going to be able to survive in the current system that we're living in. The current system that we're living in, right? Like the scripture says, it passeth away, man. You know, the fashion of this world passeth away. Can we get that real quick? Actually, let's not you up. Can another brother get that real quick? And we can go back to Joel 3.
Start back at
10.
10. The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears.
Yep.
Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about.
So every nation is preparing for war is because America's bringing the nations into war. They're bringing the nations into war, all right, so they can take control of the world's economies. The world's economy. Because the world economy is America's strength, right? As long as everyone's dealing with the American dollar, right? America gets wealth off of it being the reserve currency of the world. But when people stop dealing with the American dollar, then it devalues the currency because America isn't. What is America not doing anymore? They're not exporting, right? And in order to make money, what do you have to do? You have to export. But America has been feeding itself based on it being the reserve currency. Everybody uses this currency, right? They get fees off those transactions. The Swift banking system, America accrues fees off those transactions, and part of what else? The importing. So the importing helps America more than it's a detriment to America because everybody uses the dollar. But if nobody else uses the dollar anymore, then the importing would hurt America more so than it's doing right. It would hurt America. It would be a detriment to America, Babylon the Great. So that's what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to establish more power in the Western Hemisphere. So everyone has no choice but to deal with them. You know? And this is set up by the elites. What else we got, brother? Yeah, let's finish that off. Let's lock it.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat.
So why are the heathen awakened? It's because America is making their moves now. So the heathen have to be awakened. America is going into foreign soil and telling them, hey, you can't build nuclear weapons. You can't do this. And then telling you, oh, what you do? You did a chemical, what was it in Syria? There was some, it was a rumor that they were doing chemical attacks on their own people in Syria when there wasn't actual evidence for any chemical attacks or any bio weapons used against their own people. But they make up those rumors so they can go into your land and take your resources. Take your resources, now they can export. America has become a consumer nation. During the industrial age, America was an exporting nation. But now, the only thing they export is soybeans, and China's not buying that. You know? Soybeans is one of the biggest products that's exported, man. Yeah. Go ahead, keep going.
All right. It says,
I'm trying to get to the point where it talks about Slovakia.
So America's making their moves against other nations, and other nations are fed up and they're rising up to war. All right, that's the point. Go ahead.
Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat,
Uh-huh.
for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full.
All right. Now the reason why they're going to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, for those that don't know, that's in the Middle East. You know, Israel, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? The Yahweh Shaphat, right? The Valley of Decision. Now, the reason why they're going to be assembled in the Valley of Jehoshaphat is because this is the state of Israel is trying to become another hub on the Eastern Hemisphere, another trading hub or economic hub in the Eastern Hemisphere, and America is helping them out. So they coincide. Their fates are collective. All right, their fates go together. So if Israel is destroyed, America is destroyed. If America is destroyed, Israel is destroyed because they're together. Right? So all the nations' armies is going to Valley of Jehoshaphat to wage war. Because not only is America expanding in the Western Hemisphere, the state of Israel is expanding in the Eastern Hemisphere. Right? Go ahead.
Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full.
Uh-huh.
The vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
That's right. So the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So we're seeing these things play out right now, right? And these things, like rapid expansion, you know, military organizations, so like military organizings, you know, collapse of currency. Right now in Iran, their currency collapsed. So now I think, but their currency was pretty bad before because it was like 10 cents. You could buy a gallon of gas for 10 cents in Iran. You know, that's if you had US 10 cents in Iran. You know, because they use a different currency. But the economy has collapsed completely in Iran. That's why they're protesting like they're protesting. You know, their way of life is being diminished due to America's sanctions and Iran not being allowed on the SWIFT banking system. So they can't work with any other country, just like Russia. You know, any other country that mess with Russia, you know, there were sanctions against Russia for other countries not to mess with Russia. Like Turkey did business with Russia, and the EU. The EU, how would I say it, man? They look down upon that. You know, they even threaten action against Turkey, but they can't do much against Turkey because Turkey, I believe Turkey has nuclear weapons. Read that last verse again, Baruch Shah.
Says, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
That's right. So the point is that you see all these things happening right now. This shows you that the Lord is near. The day of the Lord is near. It's coming. He's coming sooner than we think, man. You know, with all these things playing out, and we going to Ezekiel 38 a lot. With all these things playing out the way they are, this is the time that prophecy is in motion. Prophecy is in effect. All right. What else we got?
This is 1 Corinthians 7, verse 29.
Uh-huh.
But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away.
That's right. So the things that we once dealt with, let's say, before Crown Royal, or 2019, before 2020, things were a lot easier. Rents were down, food was down, gas was down, everything was decent, everything was bearable, right? Now things have gotten more unbearable for the American people, for the people that, are here in America, Babylon the Great. And so is this system, right? Now, this system, right? The system that they put in place, they knew that 2020 was a starting period for the changeover of the system. So 2030 is the year they want to establish the New World Order, or a new system, which backs the MOTB. So it's like a 10-year period of when we're going to suffer until this MOTB is established. Well, we don't, I'm trying to look into the future, but we don't know exactly when this MOTB is going to hit. It could hit next year if they're establishing the systems for it right now. But 2030 is a phase in what they want to get into to have the MOTB, right? That's what's talked about. So the phase Slaki, the fashion of the world the way it is now, that's going to be gone. And as we continue in Esau's system, right, he's going to inevitably continue to try to revamp his system if he had the chance, right? So that's what the scripture is talking about, the fashion of this world not being the fashion of the Lord, right? If it's not in the Lord, it won't continue. It won't stand. It won't endure. All right, go ahead. Oh, read it one more time, Brother Shep.
All right, this is 1 Corinthians 7, verse 31.
Mm-hmm.
And they that use this world as not abusing it,
right,
for the fashion of this world passeth away. And it says, but I would have you without carefulness.
Mm-hmm.
He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord.
That's right. So in this time, while not caring about the world, we're supposed to care for the things of the Lord, like hastening the coming of the Lord. And the coming of the Lord, as we can perceive, is around the corner, man. It's around the corner. What else we got, brothers?
Real quick.
You got it.
This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. It says, wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Hamashiach Yahushua shall give thee light. Verse 15, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil.
Uh-huh.
If you want to speak on it, bro, I can.
You got it.
All right, I'm going to read 14 again. Wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, because we were all in that dead state, that spiritual dead state. But like it says in Ezekiel 37, the Lord will breathe that breath of life into us, where we're able to be quickened and made alive again. And it says, and Hamashiach shall give you light, which is this truth, knowledge, and wisdom, man. All right? See then that you walk circumspectly, meaning look around you, are not as fools, but as wise men. Why? Because we're approaching the days of evil, man. The time of Jacob's trouble. You got Donald Trump talking about the Insurrection Act. All right, ICE, which is really being trained by IDF, the Israel Defense Forces.
Right. And if I may interject,
Yeah.
Israel teaches, that the IDF, they teach shoot to kill.
Right.
You go in the state of Israel today. Everybody, even off-duty military officers, they have weapons on them. They're all carry weapons, and if and they're ready to shoot to kill the Palestinians. Not to make this too political, because we're dealing with the YouTube, but that's what happens, right? They're ready to shoot to kill their threat.
Right.
So if they're being trained by the IDF, ICE is being trained by the IDF. Well, we're gonna see more of what's that woman's name? Something Moon? Oh, something no, Sarah Good, something like that. We're gonna see more things that happen, like the woman in Minnesota getting shot and killed. We're gonna see more things like that in the future.
Right.
And our people need not to be involved. Right? Northern Kingdom nor Southern Kingdom need not to be involved. Right? If you're Northern Kingdom and you're a legal immigrant, it's tough for me to say this. Leave the country, man. Leave the country. Go to where you're citizen at. It ain't gonna get no good here. It's not gonna get better here, man. But if you choose to stay, and you're a brother, hey, may the Most High be with you, man. Things are going to get bad for all of our people. In Northern Kingdom, in Scripture, was judged first, and then Salakia, I say Israel, and then Southern Kingdom, right? Northern Kingdom was subjugated here in America, Babylon the Great, and not just in America, but North America and South America, and Jake. I said Jake. They both Jake. Southern Kingdom was brought into it, right? You can go back even further, the Assyrians and then Babylonians. But history repeats itself. And we're in the time of Jacob's trouble. So we're in a time where men going to be pilgrims in the earth. Northern Kingdom, that y'all brothers just may be pilgrims a lot sooner. The immigrants portion, even though that immigrant shit is some bullshit, because this is the land of Northern Kingdom. This is the land that was given to the Northern Kingdom, but Esau won it by the sword. And we know all governments are set up by the Most High. So, hey man, may the Lord be with Northern Kingdom, in this time, continue to strengthen the elect.
That's right. And like the brother said, the Assyrians, right? The modern day Assyrian, like it says in Isaiah 10, the rod of the Lord's anger is Esau eating the so-called white man. All right? And you got talks of Black Panther as well, talking about how big their blickies
Right.
they're gonna bring out in the streets and shoot ICE, man.
Yeah, those are agents, man.
No, those are paid. They paid off.
Right. Those are what's the guy name? Who ended up getting Fred Hampton killed?
William O'Neill.
William O'Neill. William O'Neill used to speak that all that, power to the people. All the we gonna kill a cop, kill a Yankee cop. This, that, and the third. Fred Hampton was too busy setting up school systems and WIC programs. But he allowed William O'Neill to do what he did and infiltrate, right? And ultimately, it was not of the Lord. The Lord didn't want that to happen for our people to be free in that way, because the Lord's coming with his freedom. Something I was reading earlier this week was Jacob. Jacob was strong and mighty. If you go into Genesis 25, right? Can the brother pull that up? No, I think it's Genesis 32. Right? He wrestled an angel. Right? Jacob wrestled an angel. I know, and previously I spoke about the angel, and I said some crazy shit. So slack you for that. The angel was not an evil angel. All right? I said it could have been an evil angel, right? But the angel was not an evil angel, because I had to understand that. I had to learn that the angel was a representative of the Most High himself, right? When you go into the thigh represents your strength, your power, right? You can walk stably. You can. The thigh is connected to the it's the hip, right? It's connected to the spine and everything. So it deals with the movement and power of a person, the strength of a person. And when that was taken away, right? When he touched the hip of Jacob's thigh, he took away some of his strength. So the angel was like, no more will you walk by yourself, right? You're going to walk with the Most High. That's the chastisement that we received in America, Babylon the Great. That we can't walk on our own strength. That we won't walk. It's not even, it's chastisement, but it's also the blessing. That we can't walk on our own strength, but that we don't have to walk on our own strength. That the key is to rely on the Lord for strength. And it's going to show you, because of what the Lord said after he touched the thigh and renamed them to Israel. You got it, bro?
Yeah. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 32, verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
Now, the reason why Jacob wrestled the angel, I'm not sure if it's going to tell you before. I think it should tell you before. But the reason Jacob wrestled the angel is for the fear of Esau. Right? And when it talks about wrestle, it's talking about pleading with the angel. All right? Pleading with the angel for help, for mercy, for grace. Because Esau was coming after him for his life. Esau was seeking to kill him for that blessing. So him wrestling the angel was him holding on to the angel and not letting the angel go. Don't go without, protecting me. Right? Go ahead.
25. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me.
That's right. So Jacob was looking for that blessing against Esau, because Esau was coming after him. He said, I will not go till thou bless me. I will not let thee go till thou bless me. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 27. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with the Most High and with men, and has prevailed.
That's right. So the blessing was, as a prince has thou power with the Most High, and with men has prevailed. Prince of the power. He said, Jacob, don't worry, you don't have to walk alone. This handicap isn't a handicap to you. It's a blessing. That you don't have to rely on your own strength to get you through. That you rely on my strength. Keep going.
29. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, for I have seen the Lord face to face, and my life is preserved.
That's right. So he fought for his life against, well, not against the angel, but with the angel. You know, he fought for his life against Esau. You know, he didn't even have to fight Esau, but he wrestled with the angel to get the blessing against Esau. And that's what we have to do. We have to do our wrestling. And what is our wrestling? It's to endure unto the end. We have to hold on to this gospel. We have to hold on to this word. You know, hold on to the law, statutes, commandments that the Lord has given us, and endure unto the end. And then we will receive our blessing, man. You know, that's the wrestling that we do in this time. You got something to back that up?
Yeah, and I want to also make mention of, it made me think about having a thorn in your flesh as well, too.
Con.
You know, that's something that men of the Lord got to wrestle with, you know, against spirits, demons, you know, it's all a part of this straight gate, man. But, you know, another point to make out of, I'm going to get the scripture, about people talking about bringing guns and shit to battle Esau, man. Well, guess what? Esau's blessing is a sword. Our blessing, that's why I said that's beautiful what the brother just read, because we have spiritual power already, man. If you're able to break these scriptures down and understand these scriptures, you already have power already as it is. It's going to come a point in time when, you know, Esau going to come in like that flood. The Lord's going to lift up that standard, and he's going to bless his men with that spiritual power. But I got this in Isaiah 41, verse 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness, which is Yahweh Shai, man. All right. I'm going to jump down to verse 13. For I, the Lord Yahweh, thy power, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, because we're weak and feeble.
That's right.
We have no power. It's proof that we don't have power because we sin every day, and we're constantly being strengthened through these scriptures, you know. And you know, I'm gonna keep reading. It says, I will help thee, saith the Lord Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as chaff. Okay? So the Lord's going to make us into sharp threshing instruments. All right? Weapons of war, like the scriptures say, man. All right, you know, the Lord's going to make us strong in that day against Esau, Edom, and so-called white men. There might be some cases where brothers are in concentration camps. You know, brothers are in a jam. Whatever the case may be, whatever situation it is, because Jacob's trouble is a time like never before. We don't know how bad it's going to get out here. But Esau, he has robot dogs. He has super soldiers. He has all type of shit. Earlier this week, I was watching a lesson done by a brother of how Esau was taking over Venezuela without having any of his troops getting harmed. And they were using some type of microwavable weapons off of these damn planes, making these Venezuelan soldiers bleed out their eyes and shit and drop dead before they can even touch the ground. I was just like, damn. But Jake want to be carnal and talk about, oh, let me get the Draco and blow a few holes in you. Hey, you ain't gonna do shit, man. You know, Esau got weapons out the ass, out the arsenal, because the Lord has blessed him that way. But all we have to do, man, is keep teaching this word, man. Keep being steadfast, man, and the Lord is gonna bless us in that time.
And what's the scripture you had pulled up before that?
It was Ephesians 5.
You wanna go back to that?
Yeah.
I got something back up the point that we was making just now.
All right, come.
This is 2 Corinthians, right? The brother quoted it, 12 and verse 7, and it reads, "Unless I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me." Right? Lest I should be exalted above measure, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Right? So Jacob's weakness at that point, you know, and it really wasn't, you know, the hip wasn't his weakness, right? Because that was the hollow of the bone, right? The hip. That's why he walked with a limp, right?
That's right.
His weakness was his love for Esau. You know, he didn't want to kill Esau, nor did he want Esau to kill him. He didn't want to go to war with Esau because Esau was he was a cunning hunter. He was strong. He was a strong hunter, and he had been given the blessing of the sword. But you know, so that was his weakness, his fear for Esau. You know, even though how strong Jacob was, you know, the Lord said, "Don't worry, you don't have to fight alone." You know, just so you know, just so you understand, you don't have to fight alone. I'm gonna pop your hip out of place. That way, there's no, you know, you should have no thought in your head to fight. So that meeting with Esau, what was it? The Lord made that peaceful, right? If thou pleasest the Lord, he shall make thy enemies to be at peace with thee. You know? So that's what happened. You know? That's what he was fighting for. And that's what we're all fighting for in this time. We're fighting. But this verse right here talks about the thorn in the flesh. Because we sometimes, you know, a person may say they're great or they're somebody if they're not given a thorn or if they're not given a weakness. You know, you got people that call themselves in this truth. Is because there's no apparent weakness and nobody can see it, wherever that weakness may be. They say that, you know, they're strong on their own. They'll say things like, you don't need to worship Yahweh Shah. They'll say things like, Paul's writings is not the word of God. You know? They'll say things like, you know, bitter is that's too bitter for me. You know, I'd rather some lettuce. Salakia. Yeah. They'll say things like the Emerald TV isn't the mark of the beast. I mean, the micro C hip isn't the mark of the beast. They'll say things like that. You know, because guys are set in their pride, man. So the Lord said, you know, pride you won't have. And that goes for us as well. We're not supposed to be walking in pride. We don't walk in our own strength. The Lord is our strength for us. And it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to believe it. You got to believe it, man. All right? And Paul recognizes, you know, Paul went through that phase where he thought he could walk in his own strength. So he prayed. He prayed to the Most High that thorn be taken away from him so he could walk in his own strength. The Lord said, not so, Paul. if you were me, then your weakness, you know, I'm great through your weakness. I magnify myself through your weakness. Because where you fall short, then I make up for you. Right? Another form of wrestling in the scriptures is the Lord wrestling with man. Right? He says, my spirit shall not dwell with men forever. You know, something like wrestle with men forever. Uh, because right now, see, the Lord chooses to wrestle with our spirit, wrestle with us, because easily He has the power to control us, right? He has the power to, command, control, but He wrestles with us. Why? Because it's an example of His creation to us, His creation of us agreeing with Him. Say we agree willingly. Our spirits resonate with the word, then that's an example of us being a proper creation to Him. But if He forces us, then how can we say that we're for the Lord if we're being forced? That's why it's compel. That's the wrestling. It's to compel, right? Jacob was compelled, right? Actually, the angel was compelled through Jacob's strivings, and we're compelled through the Spirit to do the things according to the Spirit. All right, that's all right. I'll get off of that, brother. You can go back to what you had.
All right, this is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, man. All right, like the scriptures talk about, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. All right, how does a wise man, foresee the evils, the bad times through prophecy, man? All right, we hide ourselves under the sanctuary, like it says in Psalm 91, going into that shelter, that covering that we desire to be a part of during the time of Jacob's trouble, man, because not everybody's going to have that covering, dude. All right, so it starts with us being circumspect and watching out for these prophecies. Again, it says, not as fools, but as wise men. And again, 2/3 of our people are considered the foolish ones, man. Even some of the circumcision that say we're going to be here for another 1,000 years or however X amount of time, man. They really want to delay the Lord's coming. It says, again, redeeming the time, meaning buying back the time, because the days are evil. And again, we're in a time period where we're in the beginning of sorrows. Those birth pains. The brother named some of them that's going on. America having turmoil with their allies. The 10 toes. We're in a time of the 10 toes where they're partly strong and they're partly weak, going into NATO and the EU. Okay, some of the allies are strong militarily and financially, but you got some of the weaker nations that are military weak and financially weak, man. That's the time period that we're in. And that stone, which is Yahweh Shai, is going to break that whole statue down, man. So we're in the time of the end, man. Mm-hmm. We're in the time of the end, and it's evident.
Go on.
That's why Yahweh Shai made that statement. Can you can discern the skies. You can discern the forecasting of the skies, whatever the case may be, but you can't discern the times, man. All right? We're not in the time to fuck around and be in a house of mirth, man. We're in a house of mourning. Okay? The Pesach is even around the corner, man. Shit is about to get more and more hectic, man. All right, as the beginning of this year has already started off with the bang. Shootings and killings. That's just surface level shit. All right, we ain't even crossed the threshold where the Lord is really about to unleash His wrath on a whole global sense. Okay, Jacob's trouble is everybody's trouble, like the elder apostles on down been saying, man. All right, that's the time period that we're in. So, that's all I got.
Okay, calm. Let me grab this real quick.
That's all I'll read it.
I'm looking for it. Let's get Chastening. What you said, brother? All right. Bear with me. We'll be back. All right. All right. So here for that. We're back.
You said Esau wants to do something, whatever.
I forgot.
You was talking about how Esau destroyed Jake's towns and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. He destroyed Jake's town so he can promote East. So when we dealing with, the degeneracy of Jake right now, he can ask, well, why are you so degenerate? If we've given you freedom, we've done this for you. We've made civil rights and all that stuff. Why is it that you're the way you are now? What's the thing called? He throw up a rock and hide his hand. In cognitive dissonance, man. He doesn't want to acknowledge his role in the way our people are spoiled. But ultimately it's of the Lord. If the Lord wanted us to be saved, we would be good. But right now, our people don't rely